Welcome, everyone, to yet another broadcast of Southern Virginia University Athletics. Today, your Southern Virginia Knights volleyball team playing the York College Spartans here in the Knight Arena. Art Furler here with Mike Harmon. We'll get underway here in just a moment. We're going to break away just for a second for the prayer and national anthem, and then we'll be back with starting lineups here in just a moment. Christian Taryn there with the national anthem for Southern Virginia. Boy, she has got a set of pipes on her. What a talented young lady. Great asset to this university. Does a lot of things for us. Works here on campus, involved in theater and the music program as well, and also has been a member of the Shenanigans Improv comedy troupe, and tried out again recently. Expect to see her back hopefully this semester for that as well. And now on to the starting lineups. Coming in right now, announcing lineups for Southern Virginia. Mike, you have those for us?
Yes, we'll start off with Spartans from York College.
I say do it.
Okay, so we're starting off with number 2, their libero, Catherine Graziano. Number 3, Katie Houston. Number 4, Charlotte Sabatino. Number 7, Amy Geiser. Number 11, Christine Martinique. Number 12, Kayla Gibbs. And number 15, Allison Dorsey.
Excellent. And then over for the Knights.
For the Knights, starting at libero tonight will be number 3, April Bennett. Then we have number 7, Melissa Owen. Number 10, Caitlin Toulousik. Number 11, Hannah Phillips. Number 12, Caitlin Berry. Number 13, Vanessa Pollock. And number 15, Caitlin Eaton.
The recent, or relatively recent, change in the lineup for Southern Virginia is the addition of Melissa Owen. She's been put in some quality minutes this year for the Knights, but coming in to mainly to replace their down starter, Shannon Ramito.
Yeah, Shannon's been working to try to get back from an ankle injury. She's hoping to play some next week. If not, maybe get some spots duty in today.
Yeah, I've seen her up and around on campus. She looks to be doing a lot better. We were here in that game where she went down, seemed to be in a lot of pain initially, and has been on crutches for a while. But again, good to see her back up and around campus a bit this week at least. That certainly bodes well because she brings a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm to this Knight squad.
Yes, she does. Coming into tonight's game, both teams have played two CAC opponents. York College is 2-0, while Southern Virginia is standing at 1-1. But that one loss was to Christopher Newport, who was ranked number 9, I believe, at the time.
Yeah, very, very difficult squad there, and I believe Christopher Newport winning in straight sets, but frankly, to be expected against a squad that difficult. We'll see how the Knights can get started. Today, service will start coming from the Knights. The Knights in white, the York Spartans in green. Service starting from Caitlin Tlustik.
So let's see if the Knights can get off to a quick start. We notice when they do that, things go well in those sets.
Very true. Serving to the back line and
out.
Just long.
So there's that start that we didn't want to see. You know, you get service, you have his first chance to go in attack, and it goes out of bounds.
Yeah, smart play by the back line as well to let that one go. Service now over to the Knights. And that one, they're calling on Tlustik, I believe.
Yeah, she went over the line, endangered the other side a little bit too much.
It's 2-0 start now for the Spartans. Overtaken by Bennett. Bennett up to Tlustik. Eaton with a shot down. Back the other way and wide outside. That point will go over to the Knights. Great thought by Kristen Martinic, but just wide.
And they are shadowing Caitlin Eaton. Wherever she goes, they're sending 2 players with her.
Well, and that's to be expected as well. Eaton, such a force for this Knight squad. However, lots of other players, they can get it done for them as well, so they'll have to see if the Knights can adjust to that and use that double team to find an open hitter elsewhere.
You know, so far what we're looking at is the Spartans seem to be just a little bit sharper, maybe some nerves or a little bit of extra energy and enthusiasm on this homecoming day.
Yeah, smart call again by the Knights back line this time, letting it go long. A little too much energy on that serve. Couple of early service errors, one for each side. Eaton into the back line. Played well. Into the back line of the Knights. Set up by Tlustik. Hard shot down by Barry. Taken back. Roll shot over. Tlustik with another set. And that one into
the antenna.
Yep.
And Pollock trying to get there just a little bit too much on the short set, maybe a little bit higher. Let Pollock use her athletic ability to get up and get over the top of the block.
Service now from Emma Geiser into the Knights. Tlustik again with a set. Roll shot over. Spike down, defended well by the SVU front line. Another attempt, this one gets by, taken by Bennett. Tlustik. Touch shot over the top, played back. And again, one touch over. Hard spike in the back line. Tlustik, Bennett, Owen. Tlustik again. Bennett again. And Owen again. That time, saved well for the moment.
Nice
and
play.
What an amazing recovery by the Spartans. Great dig out that time by Tlustik. Owen, and just a little too sharp on the angle, puts it down on her own side.
You know, and that rally went back and forth at least 7 times over the net. It's one of those issues that who's going to win that one?
Yeah, and that one could have gone either way, the rally that time.
Nice pass up by Pollock. Out to Pollock. Plays it off the hands of the defender. Oh, and she's saying that the up ref says there's no touch on that.
Wow, another one of those 50-50 balls. Several of those early on so far going to York. Knight's going to have to start responding to that, getting some points. Over and one that time, catching the Knight squad off guard, but able to play it over. It will be a free ball.
Oh, and not the...
And take a misplay on the other end. Bennett, Tlustik, hard shot down.
Nice shot by Miss Berry there. I couldn't believe they didn't call the setter in the net. She landed, took a step into the net, and nothing happened.
Mike,
there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
Well, 3-6 now. Perhaps a little bit of an errant play on that one, but either way, it will now favor the Knights. Valerie Arkansas to serve.
And Shannon Romito's in, so now Coach Lee's gone back to a true 6-2.
Yeah, awkward first hit, and unable to recover that time. The Spartans and that will favor the Knights now 4-6.
And it looks like they put Shannon back on the right side where she was so comfortable last year. This year she was playing in the middle, but she definitely has the power to go cross court on that right side.
As you mentioned, Shannon Ramito in this game, back after that injury. Great block at the net. That's a beautiful wall. Barry and Pollock combining, just not allowing any space for the Spartans to find a hole.
Now we're starting to see some of those nerves wear off, and Coach Lee's been really impressed and happy with the way that her team's been playing up to that Christopher Newport game. But that team will take you out of any kind of rhythm that you have.
Absolutely. Short set, quick spike there. That time it's going to be over by Bennett. Back set into the back line, just barely outside of the reach of Valerie Arkansas.
And that was a beautiful play by the Spartans. The setter went across against her body, brought the whole defense with her. She was running toward us on the sideline and then back set it to just a beautiful play.
Service in this time. That time Arkansas with the service. Push shot to the back line. Coming back in a set from quite far back. The Knights field it well. Arkansas again. And shot down that time. Coming from Ramito. Little high on the angle, and it's going to go out of bounds. But she seemed to be elevating, getting the power on it, which is good to see from her.
She just got a little bit too far up underneath that ball, Art.
Yep, got to dial in. That time, push shot over to the libero of York. That one sneaks through. Great play by Shannon. Just too far forward. The Knights unable to recover from that one. And so we've seen a few strings of points going each way. Right now, favoring the Spartans as they lead 9-5. Service coming in from Katie Houston.
Arkansas in the net on that one again. The Knights started out bad. Looked like they gained their composure, and now we're just having some issues with our passing right now.
And on that note, Coach Lee decides to take a timeout. Wanted to iron a couple of things out here. Certainly some strong play from each side, but the Knights showing a few cracks so far. Mental mistakes, I think, more than anything. And those are the kinds of things that you can shore up with a little coaching.
Yes, and we're not trying to make mistakes. We're looking at the players on the floor. For the Spartans, there's 3 seniors out there on the floor. For the Knights right now out on the floor, there's a junior, a sophomore, and the rest are freshmen. Mm-hmm. And, again, learning how to stop a run is something that you have to grow into. And York has done a great job of taking advantage of that lack of knowledge of how to stop a run.
Well, and I think maintaining composure is something else that comes with maturity. You talked about the Knights getting it back and then seeming to lose it there. I think that's definitely a symptom of both being a young player and not having that experience under your belt. Dug out by Phillips up to the front line, and just like that, as you've said many times in the past, an indication of a good timeout.
Yes. Ran a nice play. First the pass happened to allow them to run that play, and Miss Berry was able to put it down.
Very true. Service from Pollock this time. Some awkward play. And once again, another one of those 50-50 balls goes the way of the Spartans. That one, very awkward first hit, pretty awkward second hit, but they get the roll down the net. Sometimes it just doesn't fall your way.
The net cord was kind to York this time. Maybe it'll be better kind to us next time.
Owen with a shot.
That was Kaylin Berry.
Oh, excuse me, you're correct. Kaylin Berry out off of that great set from Arkansas. Man, and she put an angle on that one.
And Kaylin, when she keeps the ball in front of her, she is able to create that kind of angle. She just has a problem every once in a while of letting it get on top of her.
Service is really impressive by the Knights right now. The last couple of times it's come over the net at them, the Spartans have kind of been reeling trying to field it.
April Bennett is one of their better servers for the Knights, so she does put some pressure on them.
Free ball over again. Arkansas. Oh. And a shot by Eaton, but blocked at the net. There's that double coverage that you said they've been playing, and they do, in fact, do that exact thing again.
And when they shadow her and put 2 blockers up against Caitlin every time, the set needs to be a little bit lower so she has a chance to get up quicker than the blocker.
Roll shot over, and it works out. Looked like it was a bit of a blown play by the Knights, but it ends up working out very well as that roll shot goes over and finds the floor.
We have Talusik and Owen coming in, again running a 6-2. Owen comes in for Arkansas, and Talusik comes in for Ramito.
Back to one of the stronger lineups the Knights have available to him. Touch shot over. Talusik digs it out over to Bennett. And a hard shot down by Phillips. Shot to the back line, and that one too much to get under. And that's now 13-9, favoring the Spartans.
Again, it's important that the Knights don't let the Spartans get 3 points in a row, and this is the point they have to take.
Good start that time. Talusik up. Touch shot over by Eaton. Dug out very well, though,
and we got
by
a two
Graziano.
call.
And that breaks that three-point stretch, just as you were saying. Stop the hemorrhaging and get the opportunity to go on a run. And, of course, by the same token, love to start stringing three together yourself.
Exactly.
Phillips service over. Play at the net and play just off of Eaton's hands that time.
That was a great play by Houston, able to go up and just push the ball off of Caitlin Eaton's hands. You don't have to hit it hard. You just got to get it on the ground.
And they do exactly that. Service from Sabatano. Hit over by Eaton. Played up in the net. Cross that time. Bennett takes it. Talusik. Hard shot down.
Pollock's able to put it in the corner.
Beautiful play by Polly. You could tell the individuals in the back line for the Spartans thinking it was going to go out. Looked like they were going to let it go. And it ends up biting them. Eaton's service difficult to take as well. That's going to be a free ball over. Talusik with a set. And again, finding the floor. Vanessa Pollock.
And all you have to do really is keep the ball inside the antenna for Vanessa and let her athletic ability, let her elevate, and she can find the creases in the defense.
With the amount of power on that, I would not want to be on the receiving end of it. Oh,
it looked like a lift to me.
Yeah, definitely. Owen playing back
and
the other way.
And now they call. Oh, and we got it in the net. On number 12, Kayla Gibbs. Lucky for the Knights on that.
Yeah, well, lucky one way, then lucky the other. Here we go. And the Knights with the opportunity to tie. Caitlin Eaton's service. High set. Blocked down by Owen. Another opportunity pushed way to the back. Still alive. Spike to the back line. Coming back over to the Knights. Dug out again. Service by Talusik back up. Pollock with a push shot. And one of the longer volleys we've had so far. Shot in again. Eaton over in one. Double set in, and that one hit Eaton right in the chest. Not much you can do about it.
And credit York, they have really done a great job on scouting because every shot was headed right at Caitlin Eaton. She's not normally a great back row player. She's in there for her offensive abilities and did great on the defensive end, but they just kept on hammering her and hammering her.
Hard shot down that time, but it goes just wide. And I have to imagine it's also more difficult when you're aiming at Eaton. It's got to be so much harder to get that first hit and then gather yourself and come in for the third as well.
Yes.
That one into Pollock. Well, it may be hard to get the first shot or the first hit and the third, but Vanessa Pollock making it look easy that time.
There's a couple different thoughts on that. If you attack the other star, that's always the offensive force. You're trying to get into their legs later into the match. But sometimes it puts you in great rhythm, too, because you can pass and then go and not have to think about anything else. So there's an upside and downside to it.
Sure. Of course, beach volleyball with only two players are used to that a lot. And typically, I imagine if you play one type, you probably play the other. So certainly not something foreign. Oh, that was a very smart play that time. Allison Dorsey just touching it over the top of the defenders for the Knights.
And at 6'2", Dorsey, when she raises her arms, her hands are above the height of the net anyway, so she doesn't have to get up very high.
No, she doesn't. Over to the Knights now again. Back set by Arkansas. That's a two-hit.
Double contact. And again, this up referee, she's been consistent. Let's say that.
14-18. as we're approaching that 25 mark. Arkansas, great play that time. That's Barry again playing off the hands of the defender. Was just going to say, the closer we get to 25, the more urgent the Knights need to get a point.
And you see the difference now, but they don't have the same respect for Barry as they do for Eatland. There wasn't two defenders on her, and that's why Barry was able to get that point.
Knights with a chance here. Back set by Arkansas, played off the net. And look at that, the very first point scored by Ramito in this contest, and she is ready to go. That could be the spark that the Knights need.
It's good to see her back, and I know that her team feels the same way.
Absolutely. Again, tough shot. That one rolls down.
Out of bounds.
Very, very close. Again, the kind of out of sorts. The Spartans, when they're being served to, seem really, really, it's tough for them to get those first two hits the way they want them.
Well, they're trying to hide someone in the back, and that takes everybody out of their comfort zone when you try to hide one person.
Arkansas again, great set over to Hannah Phillips, who's able to close off the hands of the Spartans. And all of a sudden, the Knights were trailing 4 points not too long ago, able to turn it around. We've got a tie game.
Yeah, Coach Dumar's from York. She's been around for a long time, 18 years at York, very respected volleyball coach. She's seen a lot of wars, and so she knows that it's very nice to get that first set, but sometimes you have to let your players play into it. And plus, she does have a veteran group, so she understands when to call a timeout and when not to. And obviously, when you let people come back to tie you up, you need that timeout to refocus.
Yeah, despite the score being even now, the momentum definitely having shifted in the favor of the Knights a little bit, and I imagine that's what she'd like to break, both to give her team a little bit of instruction, a little bit of direction of what to work on, but also just to cool off the very hot streak that the Knights are on right now.
Now, it's of utmost importance that Vanessa keeps this serve in. Serve it a little tough, but you don't want to try to go for it because you have taken a few minutes as a break now.
And that actually,
replay.
That works out very much in favor of the Knights. That looked like it was going to be long, looked like she was going to do exactly what you were just saying not to. There we go. And the second attempt will stay in bounds. But the result will be the same. Allison Dorsey, the 6'2 junior,
is able to go straight down the line, and when you do that and you don't have the block there, that back row defender is hung out to dry.
Well, now a 1 point deficit. The Knights are in.
Tied up on a out-of-bounds serve. So we know both teams are going to make mistakes. Now it gets down to who's going to make the least amount of mistakes.
Bennett that time a very difficult serve, almost the ace, and that one will go over just as good as an ace. Dorsey, sometimes when you have those main hitters or those middle hitters up front, they're great at spiking, maybe not so much at the rest of the offensive curriculum. Oh,
nice.
Boy, I would not be
nice play.
I would not be surprised if Charlotte Sabatino is a drama major, because you could tell she sold that one, that she was going to go up with power and then just touched it right off. A little bit of a rough play for the Knights that time, but able to put it together. Back over to them now. Bennett digs it out. Arkansas, Ramito. And you can just see it starting to boil up inside of Shannon. She is happy to be back and happy to be contributing.
And again, being on the right side, a little bit more of a comfort zone. We don't know if Coach Lee will get her back into the middle as they get into the season, but she looks very comfortable on that right side.
Oh, and a misplay that time. Charlotte Sabatino, who we were just talking about, that one goes right off her fingertips, and that's an easy one for the Knights. Caitlin Tlustik with the service, now with a 2 point lead, and the great time to have it. Another odd play there by Sabatino. That one coming down hard from Phillips.
And we got a lift.
And the Knights coming ahead just at the right time. 2 points to close, and with that, no big surprise, the timeout for the Spartans.
Second time out, and this is what you want. You want to, starting out, and we've seen this before with the Knights. Sometimes they start out on fire. We've seen them start out slow as they did in this first set. It doesn't matter how you start out. It matters how you finish and who's got that 25th point and you're being ahead by 2.
Yeah, and what a huge momentum shift it's been. What a great time to come ahead. And what's interesting to me as well is neither team really asserted themselves as the big leader. I think it's been within 4 about the whole time. And this, the biggest lead for the Knights now, they're really getting the energy up as well and the emotion. Meanwhile, York can see a little bit of desperation on some of their faces, knowing that they had most of this set, and now it may be slipping away. Caitlin Flustig with the service.
Good job keeping it in.
And that one off the net. And point to the Knight. This is set point. Caitlin Flustig again with the serve. Keeps it in again. Great dig out of the back line. Both teams scrambling a bit. The first time it'll actually be over in 3. And it is wide. Southern Virginia pulls off the win in the first set, 25-20. Trailed most of the first set, but again came on just when they needed to. Big win for them.
And Owen had to. She's laughing right now because she was trying to get that big frame of hers out of the way. She knew it was going to be out, and she tried to do all kinds of limbo or whatever we want to say, but she got as small as she could, and it still almost got her.
Just barely, but able to pull it off in that scenario, get out of the way. It can be such a benefit to have a big frame to get up in the way to block, but when you decide you need to get out of the way, it can be as much of a curse as it is a blessing at other times.
Well, now we'll be able to see if the Knights can continue this momentum. Again, young team, and winning that first set is really important for their confidence level. And once they get that confidence and they learn how to maintain it, this is a team that can do major damage in the conference.
Well, and that's a great point. Southern Virginia's women's volleyball team, the most successful program of all athletics here at Southern Virginia right now. And as we've talked in some other areas, the football game this morning, the Knights struggling a little bit to get it together and as you say, do some damage in the conference. The Knights already in a position now with this current squad to do that. Maybe the first of all the programs on the SU campus to do that.
Well, and I think, and I don't want to sound chauvinistic, but I think the women's team will be leading the way for most of the fall sports, except for men's cross country. Now, Coach Davis with cross country, men's and women's, the conference let them qualify for the tournament or their runoff last year. Both of them will probably be back into that tournament again. But we can look for the volleyball team and the women's soccer team to really make that top 6 and get to be the first teams into the conference tournaments for a team sport more than an individual sport.
Well, and what an impressive thing that will be, because what a difficult thing that is to come in to a new conference, to come in with an increased difficulty of opponent and immediately contribute like that and immediately make waves, to not have to take a season or 2 or 3 or more to get used to your opponents and that transition, but to immediately come in and have that impact is a big thing.
And to be so young also. Again, we're talking about Eaton being the only senior. Then you have Ramito as a junior and Tilisic as a junior. And then you have the sophomores in Owen and Bennett, and the rest of them are freshmen.
Yeah, and that can certainly mean a lot to a program, not just, as you mentioned, for 1 year, but as you develop not a team but a program over time. We will see how that works out going forward, but right now the Knights focused on not next year, not next game even, not even next set, just right here trying to close out the second set here. The 1-set lead, the Knights over the Spartans of York College.
It'd be just a great pick-me-up for the Knights to be able to win this in 3 straight. Again, they've played Wesley and beat them 3-0. Lost 3-0 to Christopher Newport, beat St. Mary's 3-1. It'd be their first time in conference this year to get a 3-0 win. Again, coming off that performance at Christopher Newport, what a pick-me-up it would be to go 3-0.
It would be. It'd be a confidence boost. It'd be a great thing to get it here in front of this home crowd, especially on homecoming weekend. There's a lot of emotion swirling out about that. But also, as you mentioned, the strategy so far of the Spartans looks like it's to go late game and kind of wear on the legs. It avoids that whole issue as well. Strong spike that time by Shannon Ramito, but able to be dug out by the Spartans, and they will ultimately end up with the first point.
You know, and Shannon, we're looking here and we're seeing it, and she's got her first couple points and digs. She'll get better as the season goes on. No matter what you do, there's a little bit of a rust factor that goes along with that.
Of course. Kristen Martinic with the service, and she goes right back to Phillips, who mishandled the first one but fields this one well. That one played over to Eaton, taken well by Pollock, and saves the possession for the moment.
And Eaton and Phillips need to press their hands across the net, not just go straight up, but press across the net.
Yeah, doing a little bit too much with the body there, getting caught in the net, and a 3-0 start to start off this second set for the Spartans. Ramito hits it over. And another great play that time, wisely played over by Katie Houston with just a touch shot over the defenders, finding the hole.
You know, and that's something that April, she knows where she's supposed to be, and she knew it when she got caught flat-footed that was just a bad thing.
Bennett with the roll shot this time over. And a touch shot over, and they're calling in the net that time. I believe that was on Emma Geiser.
And here comes the subs for the Knights for the 6-2. Toulouse in for Ramito and Owen in for Arkansas. And it looks like this is probably one of the better front lines that the Knights have.
Well, we'll hope that they can put together a string with it, but not to be at least on that.
You know, that's the second time that April's gotten caught flat-footed with that middle blocker or middle hitter going up for the Spartans, and our team putting up 2 blocks.
Is that a danger of having a strong front line as a backline player? You're less concerned about them getting through to you?
Well, you create different angles.
What a beautiful dig by Pollock. And another one by Bennett. Push shot to the back line. Played off 2 Knight defenders. It was Phillips and Eaton. And the Knights keeping that play alive several times. It looked like it was going down the other way. It looked like they were in trouble, but able to hang tough, prolong it, and ultimately come up with a point. Very short set. They try it. Bennett this time where she's supposed to be, and the push shot going the other way. And, it goes from a game of a very powerful, very big hits to right there, just a little ticky-tack both ways.
Catch people unaware. It's got to hit the floor somehow.
And once again, as you mentioned, the very strong front line, that was Eaton and Owen combining on that block. And the Knights, despite starting out a 4-point deficit in this second set, now closing it out 4-5 with the opportunity to tie off the service from Phillips.
Kelly Grave checks in for Kayla Gibbs over on the York Spartan side. And that's what you cannot afford to have. When you play so strong at the net and you get that momentum, you cannot serve it out of bounds.
And unfortunately, the Knights do just that, breaking the potential streak. Giving service back over to Emma Geiser. Eaton playing off the hands of the defender. Spartans scrambling a bit, but Caitlin Eaton, no one else from the Knight squad even going up to block that one, and she, of the entire width of the net, is in the right place at the right time.
Well, when you set someone into the back row, the middle blockers are taught to line up with them, and they're the ones that go up to get at everybody else's back to try to play it off their hands.
Set that time into the ceiling. Owen tips it. Oh, and just caught a little bit off guard that time.
And again, there's Eaton and her counterpart across the net, number 15, Allison Dorsey. She did the same thing that Eaton did just a few seconds ago.
Service coming over again. Pollock, Tlustik, Pollock. And that one played into the ceiling as well. The small height of the gym here starting to play a little bit of tricks on both teams.
And it just forces you to pass better. I mean, when people come in, and especially freshmen come in and they look in and say, well, it's so close and we need more space to pass. No, just learn to pass better.
Well, and certainly it's an advantage for the Knights to practice in this environment and be a little more familiar with that than teams coming in as well. And that one just off the fingertips, unfortunately, of Valerie Arkansas.
Again, I think Coach Lee, we've seen this before, starting out with the 6'2". She really wants to develop these players, and this is one way to do it. And, you know, sometimes you have those lapses of judgment when you don't have someone that plays every moment.
Boy, that one, another one that looked like it might have been a broken play for the Knights, but well-played roll shot to the back line, unexpected to the Spartans. Oh, and a hard spike down that time. Charlotte Sabatino making her presence felt. And once again, we're in this 2 to 3 point margin that neither team can really seem to break out of.
And we're starting to see both teams settle down a little bit better on some of their offensive plays.
And that's a double touch. And once again, the Knights extend that to a 3-point deficit. Need to stop the service now of Graziano. Solid block, Arkansas. Bennett, hard shot down by Phillips. Dug out by the Spartans. Into the back line, dug out by Pollock. Arkansas, and finding the floor. Little discussion between the referees, but yes, that will count. Barry.
Still count as a point. Those are some of the easier kills you can get, even if they get into the net. Miss Barry still got the credit for the kill, even if the Spartans could have got it up.
Well, the score now 8-10. Bennett at the line, as you mentioned, great server.
And gets the ace. I'm glad you said that, because if I would have said it, it would have been out of bounds.
No, that just happens to me during football games.
Oh, me.
Yeah, and you could tell again that time the Spartan defenders backing off, thinking, nope, it's going to go out, and it did not. Miscommunication that time as well between Kristen Martinek and Emma Geyser. Ends up in an easy block.
And if you watch April's serve, it's not a hard topspin serve, but it's a floater serve, which makes the ball just move like a knuckleball.
Taken well that time. Arkansas puts it over in one on clearly inadvertently. And that gives a very easy take for the Spartans.
Frontline players love to see overpasses.
11-10 now. Phillips, Arkansas, and they're going to say, I believe that's going to be 4 hits. Hit by Ramito, just not high enough to get over the net.
And it looks like York has changed their tactics. They were attacking Pollock, now they're attacking Phillips.
Martinek's service into Pollock. Oh, and that time, again, Ramito trying to play it, but unaware that there was a person behind her, perhaps with a better chance. Making the effort, but ultimately not enough. Service over again. Phillips, Arkansas. Phillips, dug out by the Spartans. Over again to the back line. Pollock, Arkansas. Eaton!
And that's the difference between the set we saw in the first set and the second set a little bit lower. Caitlin's able to explode up. There's not a lot of people that we've seen that can jump as quick as she can and get as high as she can in that short amount of time.
Yeah,
bring the sets down some for her.
Yeah, she doesn't need the full run up that a lot of players you see use. She just gets up quickly and high. That time, speaking of frontline players liking overpasses, that would be Melissa Owen finding that situation to her liking and tipping it down.
Those overpasses mean free, easy points.
Which the Knights could use now, looking to tie. Tlustik serving. Preserved for the moment, but just barely wide. The Knights benefiting from that one. Again, it looked like they caught the Spartans a little out of sorts. The final shot goes wide, and we're tied at 13. Again, kind of an awkward first take. Touched over. Touched again. The Knights need to get it over on this one. And that's going to be 4. Yeah.
And Caitlin wasn't aware that the
first contact happened, yeah.
So, people need to be talking. Everybody needs to be talking out there. Even the people on the sidelines need to let them know over.
And that one long, the momentum shift immediately broken and back over to the Knights, tied again at 14 apiece. Service from Phillips. And that shot finds the floor by Kelly Cavey.
And Kelly took a little bit off of it, and that just threw the timing off, especially with Caitlin Eaton, and she immediately came down, turned around to her teammate and said, "My bad, sorry."
Well, they do what they can. The Knights now getting together. Owen looking threatening, but not the actual threat on this one. This time, Vanessa Pollock striking hard and fast, finding the floor.
And that's what I would like to see more of with the Knights, is making sure that they attack, even if they're not going to get the set, and occupy different defenders.
Oh, good adjustment over to Cavey. Pollock again to Lustig. Backline to Phillips. Would have been long, but played anyway. Touch shot over. Great play by Barry. The Knights an opportunity again. Lustig, high set, off of Pollock. Volley still going. Lustig again. Pollock pushed to the other side. Back set. Blocked it, but it is going to fall out of bounds. Points again favoring the Spartans after a very long volley.
Yeah, and on the long rallies, it's better that the Knights put it down quickly. Do something decisive at that moment. Set outside to Pollock, and she's able to find the floor again. Being able to go right in between the block. Again, shorter sets for these Knight players equal success. When we start setting them up high, that lets the defense adjust. The back row can get where they want to get to. The front row can set the block. We need to keep the height that is set at least at the antenna height.
A lot of point and counterpoint going on right now. Neither team really able to string points together. That'll be a point over to the Spartans to that very point. And now they're up 17-16 after the Knights tying it. That'll send service over to Kayla Gibbs for the Spartans. Taken by the back line up to Arkansas. Shot down hard by Pollock, but strong front line able to defend that for the Spartans, and that is now 2 in a row, I think for the first time in a little while now.
Yeah, that was a great block, but Pollock had to reach back a little bit for that set.
Arkansas over in 2. Back over in 1, Ramito to the back line. Hard spike, but blocked down. That would be Shannon Ramito and Callan Berry getting together on that one.
And being able for those two to start to mesh back together again, it will be paramount for the Knights as they go further into the conference.
Short set that time. Great dig out by Bennett. The Knights unable to capitalize, though.
But now Bennett, she's learned, and she's starting to catch those little short tips more than she did in the first set.
Service over, Phillips, Arkansas. And that one just a little bit low for Barry that time. And timeout taken. Now 17-20. This is the point in the first set where the Knights came together, pulled ahead, put a pretty good run together, and closed out the set. The Knights are going to need to do the same thing here pretty quickly to survive this one.
Yeah, but I think the Knights had the score reversed a little bit, and it seems like the Spartans have found their passing a little bit better than the Knights have in this later part of this second set. Again, youth, how to stop the runs and how to get out of these long rallies. Being able to terminate when you have a chance, when you get a free ball coming over, you've got to terminate that. You don't want to turn that into a rally where you're going back and forth over the net 6-7 times.
Well, and the Knights, as you mentioned, at this point have to start getting some strings together because they cannot go rally point at this point. Trading points will lose them the game now. Graziano's service into Phillips. Arkansas, Ramito blocked.
Again, a little bit of miscommunication amongst the Knights on that block as the ball came back over. No one really wanted to know where they were or let anybody else know where they were.
Yeah, two people in the same spot. You never want to see that. Played off the top of the hands there by Phillips. That one coming over, Ramito. Arkansas. And it is long.
And you saw kind of a stutter step there by Phillips. The set pulled her back away from the net further than she wanted to go, and she couldn't get her usual run up.
Arkansas. Hard shot down that time. Great play at the net by Phillips. And another great play. That's Charlotte Sabatino.
Again, overpasses will kill you, and we're seeing that happen more and more with the Knights now in the later states of this second set. Coach Lee takes her second timeout, again trying to stop the momentum. If they can somehow come back from this would be monumental because York's only 2 points away from the set win.
Yeah, the first timeout didn't seem to do a whole lot. It was 17-20. They took the timeout to try to put things together, and unfortunately from 17-20 to 17-23, 3 straight points obviously for the Spartans, and we want to avoid these 2 more which would close it out. So hopefully this timeout's more effective than the first.
Yeah, and sometimes that's something that you can have a reverse effect when you call a timeout. With a young team, they can look up and say, well, you know, we're behind by this much. Let's just go on to the next set, and they check out too early. A veteran team, you won't see that happen.
Well, and mentally as well, I think a team could take it as, oh no, our coach had to call a timeout to bail us out too. Another potential side effect. We'll see how this Knight squad takes it. Phillips, Arkansas, Phillips. Over again. And that one is going to go just wide. Charlotte Sabatino's been solid so far in this match, but that one favors the Knights.
Well, and you got the server back there that you want. You either want April Bennett or Caitlin Eaton back there serving. April's back serving now, and that gives them a great front line also.
Dug out by Arkansas. Eaton with the set. And Ramito. You can tell she's pretty frustrated with herself. I think she's, it looks like she's still nursing that ankle just a little bit, maybe enough to be enough of a distraction that she can't really focus on her game as much as she'd like. Set point coming up. Arkansas. Phillips blocked. Bennett. Arkansas. Eaton. Touch shot. Play at the net. One by Phillips. 2, 3, blocked again, over, dug out, Arkansas, Ramito, Phillips, over on 2, blocked by Eaton and Phillips. Roll shot from the back line, Bennett, Arkansas, Eaton, dug out again, free ball over to the back line, Arkansas, Phillips rolls down the net, over to Ramito.
Oh, and finally York's in the net.
Good, because I'm pretty good with names, but after that long, oh my goodness.
Long rally. That really didn't need to happen. Clean up the passing a little bit. Make sure that you're not hitting at the players, but use the angles that they present and terminate early.
Well, the Knights still alive after that now. Tlustik, hard shot blocked at the net by Eaton and Phillips. Touch shot blocked at the net by Eaton and Phillips. You could see, Eaton and Owen. You could see Caitlin Eaton on that turn her hands down to redirect that ball directly at the floor, coming up at that point.
It almost looked like she had caught it in between her hands and threw it down.
Mike, I don't know what you're talking about.
Obviously, the referees didn't call that, so we're not going to say anything more about it.
Nope.
But Coach Dumars from York, she's seen enough. She wants to end this now and remind her team we're the ones that have the experience.
Well, and the 4-point lead as well. They've got now 4 chances, I guess, to close it out immediately before the Knights come back and force that 2-point rule to come into effect. And to be fair, it did, from our end, look a little bit like there might have been a catch. However, probably a much better view from where the ref is up at that point. It was a few feet in front of our face.
And as we said before, she's being consistent.
Absolutely. And the hopes of the Knights rest now on Caitlin Tlustik. Service coming in from her. Keeping it in bounds again, so paramount, especially now. And that will
hit the ceiling and came over, so it's out of bounds automatically.
So the Knights again alive on a great serve by Caitlin Tlustik. They could use a few more of those. Service over, short one. Take it to the front line. Roll shot over. Kept alive for the moment. Tlustik gets it.
Phillips looks like she turned her ankle.
Over to Bennett off the net. Tlustik over in 2, and it hits the net and benefits the Knights.
And now we need to see if Tlustik is seeing Phillips hobbling around. She's not going to be that effective right now, and make sure that she gives the ball to Eaton or Owen.
Yeah, you can tell she's trying not to walk around a whole lot on it. Over in 2, dug out by Tlustik. And
we've got a back row attack.
And just like that, we go from the Knights trailing, I believe it was 17.
17 to 20, and then 24-20.
And just like that, we're now up to a 1-point deficit, 23 to 24, on the back of Caitlin Tlustik's service. If she can get one more, she'll at least prolong the game past the 25 mark. And from there on, it's just a sprint to 2.
And again, we don't know why the Knights do this, but we've seen it. You and I have been doing all the volleyball games. Even last year, they would do this. They would start out slow.
They dig themselves a hole and then see if they can climb out.
And get even slower until the other team gets to 20 and then say, oh, let's play.
Yep. And it becomes such an easier game for them if they can start hot. They certainly haven't done it in either set so far today. Let's see if they can finish hot, though. Tlustik's service short to the front line. Difficult play. Preserved for the moment, Tlustik.
Oh, and got a 2 call.
And that will do it. After a fierce run, the Knights coming back and surviving in that set. But they're at the end unable to pull off the victory. Now 25 to 23 in that set. Now one set apiece. Wipe the slate clean, and it's pretty much now just a 3 set.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 now.
Yeah.
Which is, we've seen some great volleyball. There's been some things that both sides need to clean up a little bit. But for the most part, the intensity has been what you'd like to see.
It's true, and I don't think we can emphasize enough. The Knights started both of those sets in a hole. Not just the initial volley. They went down 4-0 in the second set. I think it was 3 or 4-0 in the first set before they got a point, and that was even after serving initially on the first one. So we'll have to see if they can get a fast start in this one, because you start that one without that run, and all of a sudden there at the end of the game, you're up 23-19 instead of down 23-24.
And I don't know how cross country did today. It's hard to follow them. They don't post their results as fast as other team sports do. But the Knights volleyball team is the only hope now to get a win on this homecoming weekend. We saw that the football team lost here at Southern Virginia. The men's soccer team lost to Wesley 3-0. The women's team lost to Wesley 1-0. It's tied up here 1-1 now. Again, if we're going to have anybody pull out a win for the old alma mater
that's who it is
tonight, it's got to be this volleyball team.
No, unless you give the men played home, men's soccer played home on Thursday, and they won. So if you give them the extended weekend,
pre-homecoming, right?
Yeah, then we've got that one as well. But you're right. The hope's now resting on this volleyball team, and pretty good turnout you can see here as well. We've got a smattering of students. Some of them you can tell came over from the football game when that wrapped up. We've got a handful of faculty and administrators as well. I saw President Wilcox and his wife come in a while ago. Provost Sowell here as well. And unless I'm mistaken, that is former President Rod Smith in the house as well, supporting the Knights.
There's several other professors that have been here and remained here. Also, we've seen some of the football players come in. A few of them have just left. They came in straight from their game without going to dinner. So that shows you, everybody on the athletic side, they're trying to pull for each other.
Solidarity.
Trying to make sure that this becomes one university and not just fractions.
Yeah, and the cheerleaders here as well. They've had a long day. They were out practicing at 8 o'clock in the morning for the routine they did at the halftime of the football game. And then to be there out in the cold during that game and then in here supporting the volleyball team as well. Wonderful to see that. But since we're giving shout-outs to people, we certainly want to mention some of the faculty we see here. I spy, let's see, John Armstrong here in the house, Mark Matheson here as well. We've also got a fair number of staff, just a lot of support out here.
And if we want to give shout-outs to nice, again, an overpass. Owen's there to clean it up, but if we want to give shout-outs to some former alumni that were volleyball players, we have Amber Clark and Nancy Spencer, Nancy Kimball, and it looks like that's, I just lost her name, Chelsea Whetstone.
Yep. That one stays in.
All I could see is her last name from being Lund, and I didn't want to say that, and then her sister's name came to me.
Yeah. I thought you couldn't see her past the mustache of her husband. I thought that's what it was.
Joe is trying to sport one, isn't he?
He's getting there. It's coming in quite well. And speaking of coming in quite well, the Knights coming into this set pretty well now. Starting out 2-0, now 2-1 after that solid play by the Spartans, but a much better start than they've had in either first two sets.
Nice pass by Pollock.
Eaton just slapping that one down. What a solid hit and what a sharp angle. Again, so difficult to defend.
And she and Pollock they've captured some of the imagination of the fans that come and watch regularly, just how hard they hit.
And there's Pollock to Tlustik to Pollock, finding the floor. And maybe this is a turning point for the Knights, where they start off a little hot. 4-1, certainly a good start. Phillips again. And that one played off the hands of the defenders and will be a point over to the Spartans. But so far, two for one exchanges.
Yes. Pollock just needs to make sure she turns her shoulders back into the middle of the court just a little bit quicker.
Over to the Knights, Tlustik. Hard shot by Pollock. And too hard to handle.
And if we had a camera that was showing across the net,
we should do that.
Instead of end to end. Well, you could see how low those sets are coming. They're coming about the height of the antenna, the one that went to Eaton, the one that went to Pollock. And that just doesn't allow the defenders to get there to set the blocks.
Oh, and played over that time. A great attempt by Kelly Cavey, but not to be outdone. Melissa Owen there to collapse on it and get the block. Hard serve by Eaton. And the pattern holds so far. That is 3 times in a row. The Knights score 2, the Spartans score 1. I don't think you have too much problem with that if you are Coach Lee.
Yeah, Coach Lee would take that every set, every match.
Service over the back line. Bennett taking it out that time. And again, the Knights out of sorts a little bit. Barry putting it over. Dug out well by Pollock. Over by Phillips. Touch pass over, and that one does stay in bounds. The Spartans able to break that pattern.
Well, it couldn't last forever, but at least it lasted long enough to get a lead.
Well, and a lead is certainly much better than the deficit the Knights are used to coming out of. Pollock hard off the hands of the defenders and immediately connects and drives that lead up another point.
And I don't know if the people at home can hear, but we have our little cheering section over there of some basketball players and football players, and every time Pollock hits and Eaton hits and it goes down, they're cheering, "You can't stop her."
Which seems to be true so far today. Service over from Arkansas. Cross court set, dug out by Phillips to Arkansas. Roll shot over by Pollock. Wide set, and that one down into the net itself. We'll give Ramito partial credit. She was there in case it hadn't hit the net.
Oh, she'd want to take partial credit, but we've got to give the full credit to the net.
Okay, fair enough. You actually teach classes, so you should assess credit more than I do. And again, awkward take that time by the Spartans. They seem again just to be a little bit struggling with their communication.
That's that. I got it. You take it.
Right. 9-4, and service continues for Arkansas. Played short. Oh, that was a great set, though. Just kind of punched it over. Opportunity here, perhaps. And another one down into the net. That time, Katie Houston, despite being pretty close to it, just not enough on it. Plays it down into the net, and that is going to be a timeout taken by the Spartans. As we mentioned earlier, mental mistakes, something you can try to fix as a coach, and there have certainly been several of them in the last few plays.
Well, plus, if we look at some of the sets, they're starting to drift more back towards the attack line. Ideally, you want to set 2 to 3 feet off the net. We're starting to see them drift back 4 or 5 feet, and so that really throws off your arm angle. And if you don't make that adjustment, that's what we're going to see a lot more of, is the ball going into the net.
Well, and the other thing that it does, I imagine, is you're dropping farther and farther back, is you start drifting into someone else's zone, which is where we started to see 2 or 3 players all gravitating to the same place, which leads to the "I got it, you got it" situation, which has been happening a lot. It happened again on that play for the Spartans. So the Knights hoping to keep their team strength strong as they've been doing thus far in this set, and hoping to come out of this timeout strong as well, continuing the service by Valerie Arkansas. Much more in sorts this time, and it is going to go out. That one played well, but off the hands of the defenders and directly out of bounds, and that will break the streak of Arkansas's service. But not before establishing a 5-point lead. Phillips, Arkansas, just a little bit short.
Yeah, miscommunication on that. I don't think Barry thought that the ball was going to come to her at all, and if she did, she was 2 steps late.
Katie Houston with the service. Bennett got under that one, and that's probably going to be a lift. Double hit, excuse me. Ten to 7 now, so that timeout seeming to be an effective one by Coach Dumars. Back set by Arkansas. Played down very hard. Vanessa Pollock off the hands of the defenders. Falls out of bounds. And the lead is back to 4.
And again, Pollock with that natural athletic ability, able to get up so high so quick.
And the double hit again. Those mental mistakes, neither team seems to be immune, but in this set, certainly favoring the Knights. To the back line, back to the front line, Dorsey. Bennett. Pollock. Volley persists hard to the back line. Oh, and it was a good setup that time. It looked like Valerie Arkansas knew it was going to go into the net. She was trying to position herself to play off of that, but just came in and out too quickly for her to adjust to.
Yeah, Vanessa needed to sit down a little bit further on that pass.
Kayla Gibbs with the service. To Bennett, to Arkansas, to Phillips. And that ends up going over. Ramito to Arkansas to Phillips. That one will not. Finds the floor. The Knights this time securely nursing this 5-point lead that's been persistent pretty well throughout.
You know, in set 3, they seem to hit their stride. That's Coach Lee said that they did the same thing against Christopher Newport. Were able to play with them and be within 3 or 4 points of them the whole set, that whole set. So the Knights need to figure out and look at themselves and say, hey, you know what? We need to do this in the first 2 sets.
Yeah, no reason to dig yourself a hole, make it that much harder. Ramito dropping the hammer, hitting that one through 2 defenders and finding the floor anyway.
And I don't know if I'm telling tales, but I have a coaching class and Shannon's in it, and we talked a little bit about reward systems for your players and stuff. And I told her when I used to coach volleyball that we had a reward. This was back before we were in NCAA, so violations, you can't call them in right now. But if you hit somebody in the face, it was $25. If you broke if you drew blood, it was $50, and if you broke their nose, it was $100.
Bounty Gate all over again, coming up right here. Touch shot by Owen, well played. Back over in a very extended volley. Tlustik, and who better to end a long volley but Caitlin Eaton. Just as you're starting to get tired from the extended play, she'll hammer you.
And Eaton's able to come across her body so hard and powerful.
Tlustik service in the back line, over in one, almost into the net though. Bennett, Tlustik, Eaton, dug out well by Graziano. Service back over again. And Owen this time. She's been a huge asset to the Knights as a blocker in the front line. Hasn't done a whole lot in the spiking department, but coming alive on that one and putting the Knights up 7.
And you saw April with that, trying to make sure she stayed behind the attack line to set the ball overhand instead of underhand.
And that one dropping in as well. That point going over to the Spartans. Service from Martinak. Caitlin Eaton.
Again, starting to set the ball up a little bit higher than Caitlin would actually like. She likes to hit the ball as she is hitting her apex instead of having to wait for it.
Now she is coming on strong in this 3rd set now. Phillips' service continues. And that one, they're calling it a touch at the net, so the point goes over to York College.
This is Caitlin's last go-around. She'll be graduating at the end of this year, and she's looking for something to go out on.
Great adjustment at the net by Pollock that time to get it over. Deflected by Pollock and Eaton. And that's enough to throw off the York team and get the point. They started with a lead of 1. It grew to 3 on those 2-to-1 exchanges. It grew to 5 where it kind of stuck back and forth. Now the lead of 7. Short set, push shot, dug out by Eaton this time. Over on one again, Tlustik, Pollock. Oh, great dig out of the back line by Sabatino. Phillips, Tlustik. Barry's blocked. Eaton, Owen. Dug out again. Another extended volley, and that one will end on the shot from Kelly Cavey.
And Owen and Barry needed to wait just about a half a count more before they jumped. The further back that offensive player is from the net, the more time you want to give yourself to get up.
Well, something else the Knights have had a tough time with is closing out when they have big leads. And that's something they have an opportunity to do now is close this one out. Now just 6 points to go. We'll see if they can do that.
You know, and you always take it if the other team's going to help you close out.
Sure.
just let them.
Absolutely. Sometimes you have to build your own momentum, and sometimes you can just accept what people give you. The latter the case on that last point. Arkansas, she's had a long service once already today. Great net play. That one, though, over on one. Smart play by Dorsey of York College.
And April came running up. She knew where the ball was going, but she overran and got it up on her chest a little bit too much.
Yep, she's seen that so far today several times. Phillips, Arkansas. Great adjustment again by Pollock at the net. The Knights getting there for the moment, but that's same over on one. Allison Dorsey doing work for the Spartans.
And they're catching the Knights in transition. Knights aren't transitioning quick enough from their offense to defense, so the Spartans are taking advantage of that.
Bennett, Arkansas. And that one finds the floor on Barry's hit.
And a left-handed hit by Barry. Romito was there also. Either one of them could have took it. At least they talked enough to make sure that neither one of them got into the net.
Which is ultimately what's important. Not your point, not my point, our point. Service now coming in from Pollock. 5 points to close this crucial third set. Dug out by Arkansas, set by Bennett. Romito off the hands of the defenders yet again.
Now, and this is what we expect to see from the Knights all the time. And I'm hoping that Coach Lee has them watch these videos and that they can see. This is how you need to play every set.
Yeah, they run warm-ups for a reason. It's so you can come in warm on the first set rather than after.
Exactly, and they need to get their mind right also. There's a lot of cheering going on during the warm-ups, and everybody's high-fiving and all, but how much are they actually getting into that game mode?
Yeah, and I think both are important. You have to get that positivity, that camaraderie going on, especially in a game like volleyball where you have those moments in between very quickly, very frequently, and where teamwork is so vital, and that cohesion is so vital. But you're right, at the same time, you really have to make sure you're getting your individual mind right as you're getting ready for the game.
And not just your individual mind, but your team mind
Collective
also.
mind, yep.
You know, we've seen the Knights play consistently about 8-9 players. And those 8 or 9 players need to make sure that they're not only getting into the game, but the players that are on their reserves need to make sure that those players, hey, are we there? Are we looking at these things? And this is the second time that Miss Pollock has served the ball early. There's a whistle by the down ref to let them know that the timeout's over, and then the up ref is to beckon them. Miss Pollock's just hearing and firing.
Well, she's got a smile on her face, though. The referee realizing there's just a little excitement going on, I think. That one, Bennett in the right place, deciding not to go for it. Dorsey's push shot this time goes wide, and the Knights now 2 away from closing out this third set. Short set, there's Dorsey again, and that time she is able to find the floor.
Yeah, there was just too much of a gap between Barry and Phillips that time. It ping-ponged off of each one of them and found the floor before Bennett could clean it up.
Still an 8-point lead, by far the most we've seen from either team so far in this match at all. The Knights with a lot of opportunities here, hopefully not using all of them. Arkansas with a back set and a beautiful find. Kaylin Berry.
And again, Barry started out as a right side hitter when Shannon went down. She moved over to the middle. She's very comfortable on the right side. I'd like to see both of them use a little bit more movement when they're in there, either in the middle or on the right side, and run some one-foot attacks.
April Bennett serve back over on one. Short set into the back line. A little bit of a misplay that time again. Arkansas trying to get under it, not realizing necessarily that Pollock was right there behind her, probably with a little bit better of an angle. But now all the Knights need is to stop an 8-point run of service by Graziano, and they'll win this set.
Again, a little bit too high of a set for Caitlin.
Oh, great dig out by Phillips.
Oh, and the referee said that there wasn't a touch. Again, my eyes may be deceiving me. I thought there was a touch on that ball as the defender was reaching over.
Knights certainly did as well. Luckily, they've got 7 more chances. Hopefully, it won't matter in the outcome of this game. Great dive down into the back line there by Pollock. But again, as I said, Knights had a difficult time sometimes closing out when they have big leads. You want to avoid the 8-point run, but 2 of them are already in the books. And Pollock again, Arkansas, and Bennett unable to get it over.
And if I was Coach Lee, I'd be looking to call a timeout right now just to settle them down, say, okay, refocus.
And she does that exact thing, I am sure.
Well, I'm starting to think like a real coach
now.
What
do you know?
It's amazing.
It's almost like Coach Lee and you have a similar, or from the same coaching tree.
Well, I don't know if that's true, but I do have a lot of respect for her with her the way she's handling the team this year, and hope that she stays around, a couple more years to grow this program. We've had a run of unfortunate
short-term
coaches. And it's nothing that was, called for or anything. We had one leave with her husband, and obviously she's, you got to go with that. And,
sure.
There was another one that was forced into duty for a quick year, and I'd like to see Coach Lee stick around for a while.
And that one, successful timeout, well played. Hannah Phillips called her name a lot today, and that time calling her name to close out that third set. And now the Knights leading 2-1. You were talking earlier about them wanting to get a quick 3-0. Well, that's not going to happen. But 3-1, I guess, is your next best option.
Let's go 3-1. There's a lot of festivities that everybody's been taking part of, yourself included, and it'd be nice to go take part in some other festivities with some alumni that we may know and want to be around with.
Oh, I thought you meant like the adult session of state conference, which is also going on
that too
tonight.
We miss a lot of things, don't we?
We do. It's funny. I ran into President Jones yesterday, who the state president here. Love him, great guy. Also, he was one of my philosophy professors here at the university. He is of course, he's a stake president. He's a wonderful man. He's a big fan of the church and understands the importance for meetings, but he's not a meetings guy. Last state conference, he said I don't remember, gosh, I wish I had the quote, but it was something to the effect of, I have very rarely been, or maybe it was never, been in a meeting that was better than not having a meeting. And so I saw him yesterday and said, boy, I'm the young men's president in our ward, and his son is one of my young men. And I said, I feel really bad. We're going to miss the priesthood leadership meeting and probably the adult session, too, of state conference. And he interrupted me, and he just goes, lucky. So grateful to have a man who understands the importance of meetings and why we need to have them and is willing to have them, but also realizes all of the other responsibilities that we have to work, to family, to all the other many things in our lives.
Well, speaking of meetings, we've had a nice little meeting of the minds with the Knights. Hopefully they liked the way that last set went. I know the coaches did that. We're not talking about them. We're talking about the players themselves, and they can see that this game becomes really easy when they eliminate some of the mental and physical mistakes that just don't need to happen.
Yeah, and if they're willing to see that, it's really helpful when you have something to point at, when you have empirical evidence. They're going back to my philosophy degree.
when you can say, you see that set? You see what we did? We came into it from the beginning, and we won handily. That was nice, wasn't it? Remember the one before that where it didn't go well? It can be difficult when you're actually doing what you're supposed to and you still lose the set. It's tough then to say, well, stick with it. Trust me, we'll get there. But luckily, we don't have to after that last one. Very strong empirical evidence to say, hey, I'm the coach, listen to me, it worked out.
We have stats now from the last three sets, and on York side, Katie Houston is leading with 11 kills, but on Southern Virginia side, equal to the task is Vanessa Pollock with 11 kills. Both teams are hitting in the 100s. York at 102, Southern Virginia is better at 174. You really like to see something in the 200s, high 200s, low 300s, but a win will be a win.
Yeah, and if you look at the kills as well across the first three sets, York with 37, Southern Virginia with 38 too. Very, very close in that respect.
Yeah, and we look at the service errors, 4 for York College, and we saw several of those help the Knights out last set. 2 for the Knights. Ball handling errors, they're about even with 1 and 4 for York.
And the Knights picking up where they left off, going to Caitlin Eaton. And a misfire that time, Charlotte Sabatino. We called her name a lot today early on. She was really a force for York College, but a couple of miscues more recently, she's been struggling.
And we don't know when York came down. Did they come down last night, or did they make the trek this morning? It's a 5-hour drive. Probably came down this morning since we started at 4 o'clock. And traveling on the day that you're trying to play is just so hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That one well outside. I believe that was Emma Geiser. That one nowhere close to the line. And the Knights, again, starting off certainly hotter in this set than they did the first two. Push to the back line. Pollock, Flustick, Phillips. And it's going to be push shot over. Great
Nice
job by Bennett. Flustick, soft touch that time by Eaton. Known for her power, but also in this case for her poise.
And tomorrow we'll never know that wasn't one that went down hard. Nice run through by April Bennett to make sure the ball stayed up to give the Knights a chance.
Definitely true. Hard block at the net, Owen and Eaton. Back set by Bennett. Phillips to the back line. Dug out. Shot over by Geiser. Flustick. Hard block at the net. Caitlin Eaton saying, my bad, trying to go through the blockers that time, but great angle by the defenders for the Spartans.
It'd be nice to see Caitlin not set Caitlin on that, but make it go over Caitlin's head to the outside hitter, Phillips or Pollock, and let Caitlin still jump and swing. She would occupy those two blockers, and we'd have a wide open court to attack.
The net kind that time to Sabatino is it tipped the net and rolled over. That time, not so much. Sabatino's serve into the net. Point over to Southern Virginia, and we're back to the same 4-2 start that we had in set number 3.
And these are the starts that coaches love to see.
Phillips, hard serve outside. They do decide to play it, and nobody there behind the front line of the Knights.
Again, we don't want the Knights to start spectating now. Great game, or great set last set. Make sure that they stay in that same attacking mode.
Yeah, keep the foot on the gas, as they say. 5-3 now. Closer margin than they had in the third set. If the Knights can score here off of Eaton's serve, it'll be back to, again, the same 6-3 that they had in the first. Kept alive into the back line, just a little too low for Phillips to be able to get under.
Again, nice hit by Houston. As she goes back to serve now, Knights need to break.
And that makes it easy to break.
And you take what the other team gives you. If York is going to keep on hitting the ball out of bounds, you'll take it. Yeah, you'll take it. Again, you do want your own team to string together 2 or 3 points at a time.
Sure. Well, and you don't want to rely on
service errors from the other team or misplays in general. But you'll certainly take them when they come. That one to the outside as well. The Knights now up 7-4, so not as hot as their start in the third set, but vastly better than their start in the first two.
And again, it looks like a totally different team than set number 2.
Oh, completely different in all kinds of ways. And caught in the net. That time it was a great effort by Dorsey. She's had a lot of success by reaching up with those push shots so far today, but that time perhaps the legs getting a little tired, unable to get enough elevation to stay out of the net. Arkansas has had a couple of very long services today. And they're calling that one 4.
Yeah, there again.
Just a tiny bit short.
Yeah, Pollock got a little bit too far up underneath the ball, had to reach back for it, and that didn't allow her to snap down and get in that regular arm swing that she has.
8-5 now. Service from Kayla Gibbs into Phillips to Arkansas. And
there's her regular arm swing.
Yeah.
When she keeps the ball out in front of her, she's able to swing through and get that arm in the slot. When she has to reach back, now she's going to try to put it too much topspin on it, hits into the top of the net.
And this hit the Spartan defender in the hands. Looked like even she wasn't expecting it to get there as quick as it did. And the Knights putting together a bit of a run now, 10-5. Looking very good.
Coach Dumars is trying to slow the Knights down a little bit by putting in a sub in. Number 6, Jackie Schwarm comes in. Doesn't want to take a timeout yet, but slows things down by putting a sub in.
Taking out Sabatino as well, who, again, we've mentioned has had some very strong plays and some mistakes as well. And
got Phillips into the net.
10-6 then the score. The Knights, again, a little bit of breathing room, but certainly don't want to slow down, want to close this out, let everybody go home. And that one low into the net, not the result of the blocker, but Barry's shot just a little bit low.
Yeah, Arkansas has got to try to get the ball closer to the net. You want that 2 to 3 feet away from the net.
Low to Bennett to Arkansas. And solid kick that time.
April trying to do anything she can to keep the ball up and off the floor.
Sure. Graziano's service. And it goes long. That is several service errors in this set alone, really benefiting the Knights.
And now we're getting ready to get back to that front line where you have Eaton. Now you have Romito and Phillips. We'll soon see Eaton and Owens up front, and it's just a huge front line for the Knights.
Free ball over, Pollock, Arkansas. And who else this time? From the outside, Shannon Romito licking her lips as she went up for that one.
Didn't know if it was in. She gave the delayed reaction, but again, her on the right side, she's starting to get a little bit more comfortable. I think that's a great natural spot for her.
Bennett at the service line. There's the first touch, I believe, by Schwarm.
Phillips plays it high off the hands.
Short set. Well played by Bennett. Over by Arkansas. Over on 2. That one well played as well. Smart play that time. I believe that was Christian Martinak tipping that one over.
And you can see Caitlin Eaton with a little bit upset with herself, and she knows that the setter's in the front row and she needs to go up with her.
Into the back line. Pollock over by Phillips. And trying to go over on 2 that time. Emma Geiser, but too low. So it's stretched out to about 7. It's now closed, then close to 3. Now it's at 4. The Knights still with the lead, but a little less comfortably, I would say, than they had in the last set. Oh, and the net being kind once again. That time, Katie Houston, the benefactor of a friendly bounce.
You know, and York's taking advantage of sending both blockers, the outside blocker and the middle blocker, up against their middle hitter. Maybe you want to change things up and only send the one person up the block.
And once again, The overpass that time tried to be dug out by Vanessa Pollock, but she goes too strong, and Houston putting that down. Service line for Jackie Schwarm, the recent substitute from the Spartans. And that is wide.
And now this is almost power personified up on the front row. You got Pollock and Eaton at the same time. You can't really key on anybody.
Oh, and delayed it just enough. The Knights able to walk it up a staircase to get it over. Owen keeps it alive. Then Tlustik, Bennett over. Push again, Bennett. Owen over on 2. Another nice long volley. Tlustik this time. Bennett will get an actual play. Owen over. Blocked hard at the line, and that will do it. Great job that time by the Knights, particularly Melissa Owen going up on that one with the help from Caitlin Eaton.
Stayed in the play for a long time, but these aren't the type of rallies that the Knights really thrive at. Usually when we see the Knights go more than 4 back and forth across the net, they tend to lose those.
Ace that time. Great serve by Hannah Phillips. The Knights increasing that lead by just a little bit, maximizing the front line that they have. Push shot coming over. Eaton with such a sharp angle yet again.
And that's the effect of having Pollock hitting so hard and Eaton hitting so hard. You cannot double team Eaton now. They've seen what Pollock can do. She's leading the Knights with kills in this match.
Yeah, who do you block?
Yeah, and if you go one-on-one with either one of them, you're going to lose that.
Yeah, and the other one's going to hurt you. So it's such a difficult situation because you either double the person who you think is going to get it, and then they go to the other one and they hurt you, or you go the other way, you play one-on-one, and then you open up both of them to have the opportunity to cut it one way or the other. And when you've got players that are not just so strong but so adept at directing it one way or the other, single coverage isn't going to cover either of them. Double coverage, you leave somebody wide open.
You know, and when you have a great middle and you can put hitters around them, whether it be someone like Pollock who just has a cannon for an arm, or a smart hitter that's going to put the ball down not as hard but find those open spots, that makes your offense become so much more effective.
Unfortunately, though, the service, despite the Spartans' inability to break that service, the Knights break it for them.
You know, and we talk about it so many times. I know people get tired of hearing it, but after timeout, you have to just lollipop the ball in.
Phillips, Tlustik. Oh, great thought that time by Eaton, just not quite enough on it.
You know, so good timeout for the Spartans. I mean,
yeah,
call the timeout, get 2 points in a row.
Break the service, 2 straight points, and leaving the door open for a hungry Spartan team. Geiser now with the service. Tlustik, Eaton. And Eaton starting to close that door a little bit again.
You know, and we're starting to see some budding stars out there. I can believe that Eaton should be a all-conference performer. I think Pollock should be an all-conference performer. And if they keep playing at this pace and this intensity level, not just one set, but for all the sets,
consistently.
That's something that they should be aiming for also.
Tough serve. It's going to be a free ball over to the Knights. Eaton, Tlustik, Pollock into the ceiling. Such power, my goodness. 7-point lead now. 20-13. The Knights with the opportunity to close, approaching. And into the net. Over to the Knights.
And number 11, the setter, backed into the net as she was up. Even if they didn't call the net, it was a back row attack. So, you know, and then again, another mistake by the Spartans, which the Knights will gladly take.
Absolutely. Knights with another chance here. Smart touch. That time, Vanessa Pollock deciding not to go hard, but instead to play it softly off the hands. Great job.
You know, we were wondering earlier who's going to be the one that comes in and relieve some pressure from Caitlin Eaton and maybe take over that role next year. And we're starting to see that Pollock has a great chance to be that leader for him.
Absolutely. The Knights now starting to run away with it, 23-13. 2 more points to finish off this set and the match.
And Caitlin Berry had a great hit right there in the middle.
Awkward first hit again, but played well, and it'll be off the hands of the... Oh, it won't be off the hands of the Knights, excuse me. 24-13 now, and that's going to show a newcomer for the Knights coming on the floor. That's Heidi Lee coming in for the Knights.
And let's hope that she can carry this one out. I got it.
That was just a little bit long, but too long to defend, excuse me, but stays in bounds. Point will go over to the Spartans.
Good job there by the Knights. Still, though, moving in unison. Hugs over on the sidelines for Lee. Played over by the Knights. Nice little great X play by the Spartans there. The middle hitter comes in, the outside hitter comes in right behind her, finds some opening spots. Again, Knights have a lot of set points and match points here. Nice pass by Pollock. Up to Berry. Berry gets stuffed in the middle. Again, Berry needs to learn how to go and take angles instead of trying to hit the ball straight ahead.
That door still staying open just a little bit. But the Knights now just need 1 point off service from Katie Houston. Phillips, slew stick. Pollock punching it to the back line. Phillips, Bennett. Push shot to the back line by Tlustik. Bennett digs it out. Tlustik. Pollock. And that will do it. Southern Virginia closes out the third set 25-16. And that will be a victory 3-1. What a strong performance by the Knights.
And we'll take that. We wanted 3-0. 3-1's fine. Pollock didn't even get a great hit on that one. And just with her strength is able to find that back line. Wonderful match by the Knights now. That takes the Knights now to 2-1 in conference. Again, puts them almost in the driver's seat. They've been able to play with other schools, St. Mary's, and beat them. They're able to play with Christopher Newport and stay with them for the most part in the third set. It's a great learning and growing experience for them. Just a wonderful, wonderful way to end the day on a winning note for the homecoming for the Knights now. Coach Lee's out there talking with them. She just has to be happy with the way that they came back after that second set. We sit there and after the second set, it was like, oh no, here we go again. Maybe a five setter, but the Knights really responded, and hopefully she's going to make sure that they respond in a way that'll carry them through for the rest of the season and do that every single set, every single match.
This may actually cut in their favor a bit for her to be able to say, hey, look what we did in the first set. That was okay. Look how strong we were in the third and the fourth, and look what happened in the second. Come on now. It's proof of concept in the most literal fashion. We're going to cut away here for just a second, and we'll come back with Coach Harmon interviewing head coach Brittany Lee, and we'll have Vanessa Pollock here with him on the mic as well in just a moment.
All right, this is Mike Carmen. I'm here with Coach Lee and Vanessa Pollock. And first I'll ask Coach Lee, Coach, what did you say to him after the second set? We were starting to wonder, oh no, here it goes again, maybe another 5-set match. What did you say to him to make him just click on the switch and run away with the next 2 sets?
Well, we gave him a little incentive.
It's not food this time.
Yeah, we gave him a little incentive, and we said that we were starting to play how we played at the CNU game. And they knew they don't want to go play like that again, and they picked up their energy level, and they started playing hard.
Very good. Vanessa, we've seen you being able to use your athleticism to make shots that we haven't seen a lot happen before. What does it mean to you when you, well, not to you, but what do you think it means to your team when you get a great shot, it goes down hard, and the crowd starts saying something like, you can't stop her?
Well, it's just a big energy booster. I mean, not only do I need it, but like the whole team feeds off of it. So once the team is like all energized again, you get that same point, but not me, but a different player, and that's just as good.
All right.
If not better.
And what can you do as a team now to make sure that things like that second set don't happen again? Because we've seen you play marvelous as a team, and then we've seen kind of a letdown. What can you do as a team to come together a little bit more to make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, that was mostly like mental. Like if you put it in your head, like, and you start going down a little bit, then you don't start working as hard. But if you start working harder and you just tell yourself in your mind, I'm going to get this next ball, then you're not going to have sets like that.
All right. And Coach Lee, one more thing. So you're 2-1 now in the conference. How many more matches do you think you need to win to make it into the conference tournament?
I don't know how
You haven't
many.
thought that far ahead?
All I know is we want to win the rest of our matches. That's what I'm going for.
All right, so that's what, another 8
I know
matches?
if we win the rest of our matches, we can be at least second in the conference, if not first. So that's our goal.
There you go. Well, thank you for coming by. Again, congratulations on just a wonderful way to end the homecoming weekend.
Thank you.
So that was Vanessa Pollock and Coach Brittany Lee. This is Mike Harmon for Art Fuller, for Art, saying thank you for joining us today. It's been a long day. A lot of sports that went on, a lot of activities for homecoming. Join us next time on this same station, and until then, have a good evening.